today is on PMV. We have Anders Alna with us from PMV in Sweden. Anders is the PMV sales manager. He's going to take us through the technical part of the presentation. As most of you know, we have a long history with PMV that goes back well over 30 years. PMV and DeZURIK have had a very close working relationship for a long time, and they have been an important partner for us on positioners. What we're going to do is a two-part webinar on the P30. Today is going to be an overview with features and benefits, and then on March 17th, we'll have our second webinar, which will be more of an operational demo and also give us some information on the ValveSight software as well. As most of you know, we have a white label agreement with PMV. So essentially what PMV refers to as the D30 and what we as DeZURIK refer to as the P30 is a product that's branded with DeZURIK labels on the outside, but the positioner itself and all the specifications, everything inside the positioner is PMV. A little bit of history on the P30. When this positioner first came out, we were in the midst of doing a lot of control valve performance testing. Our standard test platform is the Black Diamond or benchmark test platform. And this is essentially a way to test a control valve's performance. And that's all the way from the movement of the ball all the way up through how the positioner is forming. When we were doing a lot of this testing, one thing that we noticed, the P30 was one of the few positioners that you could take out of the box, auto-tune the positioner, and it met the benchmark standards for major customers like IP, GP, and others on both a diaphragm and our power rack, our double acting actuators. A lot of positioners are able to do this on spring return diaphragm actuators, but very few have that ability out of the box without additional tuning to be able to do to meet that level of performance on a double acting actuator. Their algorithms just aren't set up for it. So that is one thing that we saw with the P30 that was a great advantage. And now I'd like to introduce Anders. As I said, Anders is with us from Sweden today, and he is the PMV sales manager. Anders, take it away.
Well, good morning to all of you. I hope you can hear me. I'll start by introducing this P30 positioner to you. It's a product we have had on the market for a few years now. It's been very successful for us, and it's been really a big hit in the pulp and paper industry. It's a very high performing product, yet it's very, very easy to use and get going. And like I said, out of the box, calibrate it, and then ship the complete control valve to your customer. 4 to 20 milliamp input signal, loop powered 2-wire. There's no need for additional power supply to it. It's available with heart. It's the single acting and double acting in the same positioner. There's no change and so on. All you do is you plug one port to make it single acting. You have a LCD that you can see through the cover. You also have a bright and clear, easy to see position indicator that you see through the cover. Again, simplifies troubleshooting. And also when you walk around in the plant, you see that everything is operating the way it should. Next to the LCD display, there's a small window that contains LEDs. You also see through, they indicate flashing green, everything is fine. Flashing red, you have a problem, you have an alarm. It's available with approvals for intrinsically safe applications, EXEI, as we call it over here in Europe. You can plug in limit switches. You can have a 4 to 20 feedback from it. It's also possible to do what we call a remote mounting. That means that you install the positioner on a cable ladder or on the wall next to a control valve, and then you have a pickup sensor on the valve actuator itself. Plug-in pressure sensors gives you very advanced diagnostics. You can perform a partial stroke test, and it also has a SIL3 approval. So you get a lot of things in one simple positioner. Copies of some of the approvals we have. The one to the left is the Exida SIL3 approval. We have European ATEX for intrinsically safe. We have the Chinese CCC NEPSI certification. We have in Metro for Brazil, TRCU for Russia, and so on. And more of them are coming all the time. So it's a well-tested, well-proved product. The major feature on this product is its ease of use, and it's very, very robust and rigid. We have focused on making a very strong connection between the positioner and the actuator. And with the DeZURIK actuators, the rack and pinion type or the spring diaphragm type, it's a robust, rigid mounting using a stainless steel bracket. It also gives a very, very compact assembly, low profile. Should you like to use the D30 on a regular lunchbox actuator with the Namur 3845 mounting style, that's also possible. We can also use it on like linear globe style control valves. Once you have installed it on the actuator, connected it, and applied a 420 milliamp input signal, you just press the up and down key on the keypad simultaneously for about 5 seconds. Auto calibration sequence will start, and it's completed in 45 seconds. When you're done that, put on the cover, ready to go. As you see, the terminals, very easy to access. You have 2 cable entries, and you have the 420 input signal, and you have the terminals for 420 out. You see the position indicator that is held in position with friction, so that one you can set as you like. You can rotate it 360 degrees. When you stroke the valve in 10% steps or 5% steps, and you find it a little bit nervous in response, and with nervous I mean you put it on a very small volume actuator, we have a very simple gain setting. You go in the menu performance, on the calibrate, and you select the gain. A, which is the lowest, gives you very slow speed of response, or you pick the highest, G, that gives you a very quick and fast response. The default setting is D, delta, and that matches most valves actuators on the market. We can plug in limit switches, as I mentioned, pressure sensors, and so on, and they all fit under this plastic cover. D30 is also available with a lot of protocols. HART is by far the most used in the industry, but we also do Profibus and foundation field bus. We find HART mainly used in the pulp and paper industry. That's very rare with foundation field bus. We do see some Profibus in the pulp and paper as well, but HART is the absolute dominant protocol to use. The menu system, the LCD, is a full graphic display. We can write different languages, and as default, we have, like you see here, Swedish, but we also have English, French, Italian, Spanish, German, and so on. And that's selectable. Default shipped from factory is English. Since we use a graphic display, we can write digits, numbers, figures, anything we like in it. It's also possible to flip this display upside down. That's a few steps in the user interface where you push buttons, and then you have it upside down in case the valve is installed in a very awkward position. The LEDs right of the display indicate the green flashing light. Everything is fine. Valve is operating, it's controlling. Flashing yellow indicates it's fully closed or fully open. That is the, how to call it, the full close function is enabled. That means we put full pressure on the open side or the closed side of the actuator to ensure a tight shutoff. Flashing red is an alarm, and that is the deviation alarm in case your positioner, valve and actuator can't track the input signal. And that is a deviation in travel and in time when you get that one. So if you have, have a deviation alarm for travel, valve is having an increased torque requirement, and it takes time for it to reach the new position. This alarm might flash up, but when positioner and valve reaches the new position it's supposed to have, this alarm goes away. But you can still access it through the menu to see what kind of alarms you have had. But this is the most important alarm of a positioner, the deviation alarm. In the D30, we have a very unique design. We have a solid metal shaft that goes all the way through the positioner. This shaft is spring loaded, pre-tensioned by a spring, and that takes away all the play from mounting linkage. It's very helpful if you have a vibrating application. It ensures that the life of the control valve and actuator is extended. Another very, very nice feature we have is this self-adjusting gear with a friction clutch. The shaft can rotate freely, 360 degrees, any direction. So when you install it on the actuator, you don't have to preset it in the right position or ensure that you are in the right quadrant before you calibrate it. You just put it on, you can rotate it as you like. It will automatically set and adjust itself. You will not break anything, you cannot damage anything. The position sensor is located to the right, and that's a geared design, which I'm coming to in the next slide. This one shows what it looks like. You see the spring that eliminates play, but it also ensures a very, very high control accuracy. The stop, that's where the gear can travel in between, and that's the one that makes it automatically setting itself. And the gear is a ratio 3:1 for the feedback sensor. This means that if the valve moves 1 degree, rotates 1 degree, the feedback sensor rotates 3, so we get a very, very good resolution and readout from this sensor. Many of our competitors, they don't have this spring-loaded shaft. They don't have this geared sensor. They have it directly mounted to the positioner shaft instead, meaning they don't get the high resolution. And since we use a 32-bit AD converter, we get very, very good accuracy and measurement of the valve position. So it's a design that gives you very, very good control performance, yet it's very, very foolproof and self-adjusting. This is a cut through of what it looks like on the inside, where you see the shaft, a solid metal shaft that goes all the way up to the position indicator. The blue block to the right is the air relay. And right on that one, you find the plug-in pressure sensors. These can be installed either from the factory by us or by the team in Sartell or by you or the end user as you like. This is a plug-in module and you need them to get proper diagnostics together with software. And this is a close-up of the shaft. As you see, it's O-ring sealed. There's long space between the bearings. That is to ensure that there's no play or any wobbling action from the shaft over to the feedback sensor. And then you see the washers and the spring that gives the friction clutch and the pre-tension position shaft. And again, this is a very, very unique, very nice design. The air relay itself, it's one complete module. It's a spool valve design. It has a very, very high air delivery capacity, so there's no need to change this spool valve assembly depending on the size of the actuator you're installing it on. If you compare with Nellis, for example, they have different sizes spool valves. They need to meet their different sizes of actuators. With this design, you only need one. Very high CV. It's single acting and it's double acting in the same device. And it's, like I said, one piece, very, very service friendly. This is a drawing, a cut through of the spool valve and the air relay itself. To the left, the upper bit red portion, that is the I to P conversion. That's where we convert the 4 to 20 milliamp input signal into a pneumatic output signal. That goes up to the light blue square block, which is an amplification stage. And the output of that one goes up on top of the darker blue diaphragm. This acts like a spring diaphragm actuator and pushes the green spool that ensures the air distribution to the actuator. As this spring diaphragm actuator that pushes the spool, that's design is what gives it the SIL3 capability, but it also gives a very, very high force in moving the spool. So in case your customers don't have the perfect dry, clean air, it still can move the spool and work and deliver air to the actuator. The plug-in options, that's for 4 to 20 milliamp feedback, limit switches. And the limit switches can be mechanical type, they can be proximity type, and they can also be Pepple & Fuchs inductive sensors. You can also plug in pressure sensors in the D3, as I mentioned before. And all is very easy to access when you lift the cover of the positioner. The remote mounting option, that is when you have a valve that is cavitating or it's located in an area where it's very, very difficult to reach and access. It could be very hot, it could be very, very cold, or something like that. So then you mount the positioner on the side of it. And we recommend a distance up to 10 meters or 10 yards. We can do more, but in that case, ensure that your air tubing is a little bit larger diameter to ensure you have good air delivery to the actuator. And the design is very simple. We put the feedback sensor, the position sensor on the actuator, and then electrically we run that to the positioner. This is a way to protect the positioner and ensure a longer service life of it. We offer a complete box that can be mounted on top of the actuator and then connect that to the positioner. This box can also have a dome indicator for valve indication, as the indicator on the positioner will not move. Our box can also have 2 mechanical or 2 inductive switches installed inside if you want to have an indication for open closed valve. It also, for the dome, features something very unique. It's driven magnetically through the cover. So even if the dome gets knocked off or damaged for whatever reason, the integrity of the enclosure is kept. There's no shaft going through the cover. And also in this box, we have the self-adjusting gear, the gear ratio 3:1, and the spring-loaded shaft. That is to ensure the simplicity of installation. Just install it, connect it, calibrate, and get going. Should you use another design where you have a regular potentiometer or something like that installed direct on the valve, you need to measure up the potentiometer to ensure that you are working in the right area of it. That's eliminated with this design here because it's self-adjusting. This one shows the dome indicator. Like I mentioned it before, it's magnetically driven through the cover. So even if it gets knocked off, the integrity of the enclosure is kept. Available also explosion-proof or intrinsically safe, this design. Here's the P30 positioner without gauge block or with bolt-on gauge block. You have two options. I know we have some customers that prefer to put on a gauge block and then they have hard tubing metal pipes that goes into the gauge block that allows them to simpler replace and do a hot swap of a positioner. So they don't have to damage the enclosure of the positioner itself. And as you can see, the cover is a solid aluminum cover. We have a flat indicator. We don't have a dome on the positioner itself. And the reason is very simple. Dome indicators look great on the desk. In reality, they get damaged because people step on positioners, they hit them with stuff and so on. And a cracked indicator cover or a dome will eventually lead to a flooded and damaged positioner. That is why we have this step-proof design. Suits all types of actuators from DeZURIK, both single acting and double acting in the same unit. And since DeZURIK focus a lot on control valve performance and to have the drivetrain as solid and without play all the way through, our design by using the spring-loaded shaft really benefits the whole assembly here. Just to give you some ideas on where we also see the D30 being installed, that could be a spring diaphragm, linear type, globe style control valve. There are mills in my country where they now replace Nellis ND9000 positioners with the D30 instead as the center picture, but they can also be used on very small size globe style control valves as the picture to the right indicates. With the D30, we also have a software we call ValveSight. It's a free of charge software. It's available to download from our website, www.pmv.nu, pmv.November uniform. It gives you a 24/7 monitoring of the valve. It uses something called the FDT DTM technology. This is an open protocol, an open technology embraced by most in this industry. Emerson have slowly started to offer this as well. It's not easy. It's not their preferred protocol to go with, but they do it now. And it's a widely used technology, mainly in pulp and paper industry. This is the monitor you get up on your laptop when you connect. In the center, you see 4 green bar graphs, and they indicate the health status of the valve, of the positioner, of the actuator, and the control signal. Below these, you find 4 gauges that indicates the supply pressure, the open pressure, the close pressure, and the balance pressure. In order to get the gauges there, you need to have the pressure sensors installed. And you also need to have heart in the D30. To the left of the bar graphs, you see your input signal and you see your actual position. You see the temperature to the right in the blue scale, and you see a control quality, the communication quality above the temperature gauge. As long as everything is green, I mean, everything is fine. And as you see now, valve has 0% input signal, and it's closed together with a 0 deviation. If you imagine now that we put an alarm in for this valve, that in case it goes full open, we want an alarm. But now you start to see, as we open up, and we are closing in on 90% open here on this one, it starts to build a yellow warning under control. This is not a valve positioner or actuator problem. It's a problem with controls. Why is this control valve operating so high up in the area, in the range? It should be maybe operating in the 50% range. But it's not an alarm, but it gives you a warning. And if you hit the info button, then you will get information. What is causing this warning? Yes, it's the limit 1 alarm. We are operating close to an alarm level. In case this valve now goes fully open, we will get an alarm. The bar graph turns red. And if we click the info button again, we will see what alarm is active. We can start to drill down to see what the problem is. And the beauty with ValveSight is it will never give you more than 3 alarms. And it also is able to pinpoint the root cause of the alarm. In many cases, one alarm will generate new alarms. And suddenly you end up with 25, 30 different alarms. This doesn't happen with ValveSight. This stops at 3 alarms, and you have the root cause in one of those 3 alarms. Should this valve now close and move down to 50% open, the alarm will go away. The bar graph will go down, moving towards green. But then you can, in the event log, go in and see what happened in the middle of the night, what alarms did we have. But I will also show more about ValveSight and its capabilities in the next session we have next week, and I hope you all can join me then.